Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bargain Bin, showcasing all amazing speed games under $20. I'm Midnight Vesper, and this is new. We switched things up a little bit here, so I'm going to be here on Mondays, every other Monday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you're new to the Bargain Bin, here's how this whole thing works. We're going to be showcasing lots of games here. For more current/digital games, we'll be using digital stores like Steam, GOG, itch.io, Ubisoft, Epic, etc. Look at the list/MSRP price. For retro games, we'll be using a wide assortment of price charting websites and looking at the loose price of the game. We do not count any sales or discounts as they vary from time of purchase. Couple announcements before we get to our games currently. Frame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, from August 21st to 27th. The marathon schedule is now out. You can type in !FF in chat or go to gamezonequick.com/framefatales for more information. Prize submissions are now open as well. Check the site for more information. And of course, the One and Done-a-thon, yes, is coming up again, where you can show off your favorite run. And that's your only appearance in the One and Done-a-thon series. You can type !OADAT to see the schedule. And of course, check out Game Zone Quick on Instagram to get bite-sized clips from our Hotfix shows and see what happens at the events. Of course, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support our weekly Hotfix content. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy all these amazing Hotfix shows. And finally, if you're watching this on YouTube, hello YouTube, you all are awesome. You can go to twitch.tv/GameZoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. And of course, since we're on a brand new time slot, I figured I'd go ahead and give you all a little bit something special. So we have a 2-for-1 special coming up. But of course, later on, we're going to have the amazing game Icy. But again, first, the 2-in-1 special of Death's Door. First, we're going to have the no major glitches category, and then we're going to have the glitched right after that. So let's go ahead and toss it on over to our runner, TFT. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
Great. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to this run.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. As was previously mentioned, I'm going to be running Death's Door. It's a small indie game by Acid Nerve. It's a bit like a retro Zelda game crossed with Dark Souls, but you get to play as a cute bird protagonist, and who doesn't like that? I will be playing any %NMG, or no major glitches, category and current patch, which basically means I'm going to be going through the game mostly as intended until the credits. I'll be mostly focusing on the run, but I have 2 skilled, knowledgeable runners of the game with me to provide commentary. They can introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm Kareem. I run this game. It's good.
Hey everyone, Upper Casserole here. I also run this game. I agree with Kareem's sentiment.
And don't let them lie to you. They're both really good at this game. They are 1st and 3rd respectively. So I think unless anyone has anything else, I think we're ready to get started with the game, and I'll do the countdown. So we'll be starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, and we're off. We're gonna arrive on our little bus. Fantastic. So we are a crow in this game. A very cute crow with a red sword or lightsaber, depending on your preference. We've got this roll. This is going to be our main form of movement in NMG. You'll get to see some fun stuff in Glitch later, but for now we're mostly going to be rolling through the game. We're going to get our first job from Chandler the Handler here. It's going to tell us that we have to go reap a soul. So we're going to go get a soul from the demonic forest spirit. That's our first task. This game has really, really lovely combat. That's the main thing about it. If you like really crisp, tight controls in isometric combat, this is definitely the game for you. Right there, we did a quick little trick. So quick you might have missed it. We skipped the entire tutorial area by shooting an arrow through that wall and hitting the switch.
We're introducing very early that a lot of the walls in this game are fake.
Yeah, walls are not real.
For projectiles, at least, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, you mostly can't just walk through walls, but you can definitely shoot through a lot of them. So here we're kind of...
This is the demonic forest spirit, and he's done already. But basically, we just rotate our highest DPS strategy is to just do heavy, light, light, heavy, light, light over and over again. It deals a little bit more damage than just spamming light attacks, because if you just spam light attacks, it does like a 3-hit combo sort of thing, which has a long cooldown afterwards. And heavy attacks have the same problem, but they deal double damage, so it's just slightly higher DPS that way.
Yeah, so we were trying to get the giant soul from the demonic fire spirit there, and we successfully killed them, but unfortunately, this mysterious gray crow came out of nowhere. You can kind of see them there walking along the bridge, the edge of the screen, and beat us over the head and stole it. So we're trying to figure out what the heck just happened. So our toolkit right now, we have this roll, we have that light attack, we have a heavy attack, which you can charge up to make it deal a little bit more damage if you fully charge it. And then we have the bow as our spell. You'll notice in the top left, we have 4 green pips for our health, and we also have those 4 like red/white pips, and those are our mana. And so in order to shoot arrows, we need we need that mana. And you get it back by hitting enemies. So you can kind of think of it like Soul from Hollow Knight. Your TFT making really short work of these enemies. Kind of introducing a couple concepts there. So you have these arenas where you have to kill all of the enemies before a gate will open. And these keys that you collect, which you can use in various places in the game. We've also collected a few soul orbs here. Those give us 100 soul. We're collecting those so that we can get some upgrades later on. You can see the soul count in the bottom right.
And here we are in the very first arena, or the first main arena of the game, which is ironically one of the hardest ones to optimize. There's a lot of really tight mana usage, and these backpack enemies are quite difficult to deal with optimally.
Now, in terms of the doors, in terms of the enemies, they all spawn at the same time, or is it all kind of a randomized type situation of where they are?
No, the enemies will always spawn in the same locations at the same times, but their behavior once they spawn is, I guess, slightly random, right? It's mostly consistent if you're in the same locations, but they can do some weird things from time to time.
Yeah, the key to doing this game quickly, so all those set piece arenas like that, where the enemies spawn in waves, they're all very consistent, and the key to being fast at this category is really nailing down your strategies for those arenas and getting them really clean and optimizing all of that. So, so that's really cool.
And you want to follow it as much as possible.
Yeah, there are cases where you need to improvise the combat. Any situation that isn't an arena, so enemies that are just kind of naturally roaming around in the area, those will kind of path around completely randomly until you get to them. If you have consistent movement, there's usually a few variations that you can kind of recognize, but there is definitely some RNG there to contend with. That's probably where most of the RNG in this game comes from. Otherwise, it's a fairly RNG-free game. It's mostly just execution.
Grey Crow. Sorry, something in my throat there.
I said mostly.
Yeah.
Breath of fresh air after coming from Hades, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so you'll see these little grunt enemies take 3 hits to kill, so often you'll see TFT prep them with an arrow, which does 1 damage right now, and then do a heavy attack or 2 light attacks, which will do 2 more damage to finish them off. You'll also see we're deflecting some of those mage projectiles there. That's another fun little combat mechanic. If you deflect a projectile back at an enemy, it actually does twice as much damage as the attack you used to trigger the deflect. So if you use a light attack on a projectile, say right now it's doing 1 damage, it would do 2 on the deflect. Use a heavy, it would do 4. So you're kind of incentivized to get those deflects, which makes a lot of the combat really, really fun. And here we are,
done.
Boss number 2. Guardian of the Door. This is actually legitimately a gatekeeper, no pun intended, for a lot of early runners. This is a really tough fight.
It's true. It's a very tricky boss fight. Dodging his attacks, when you're new, you're just getting pummeled by these slam attacks that he's doing, and it's like not clear at all how the speedrunners are dodging it effectively. And then this laser as well, which you can't even see because he's hidden behind him. Nice dodge there.
And lots of trial and error.
So normally you get kind of pushed back by that wind instead of being pinned against the gate, and you have to spend a bunch of time dodging the laser and rolling around, dodging all these bomb projectiles that are getting thrown at you, all these mortars. And it's a really crazy fight, but instead TFT just handily dealt with it in
That's
a
pretty
matter
much
of
how we
moments.
want that to look. Like, that's like a textbook.
Yeah, that was a perfect fight.
Yeah, it was. And we're still at full health. Of note, healing in this game isn't the most common thing in the world. It's actually pretty difficult to get healing, and we've gone through this whole first section, the tutorial boss, 3 arenas, and this other boss, and are still at full health, which is really great. We are going to have a save and quit before we fight anything else, so we'll get a full heal then, but up until this point, any healing would be really slow.
Yep. And here's where we get some more exposition. So the Grey Crow is sending the giant soul from the demonic forest spirit into this door. And the Grey Crow is basically going to say, tough luck. If you want to get it back, you have to go to the 3 different areas and fight the 3 different bosses, go through the 3 different dungeons. Very traditional adventure game, like Zelda style. So we'll get a little bit of an intro here. That was the name of the game, in case you didn't know. It's Death's Door.
I thought it had something to do with Kylo Ren.
If you look at the sword, you might think so, but
Also of note, you see this cutscene and the game in general. We're playing in English. This is, I think, is it 9 text boxes slower than the fastest language, which would be simplified Chinese. So we're losing less than half a second probably in time by playing in English. But
Upwards of 10 frames. It's actually disgusting that TFT would choose English.
sorry. If I don't get world record this run, you can blame me.
yeah.
My language decision.
Now, is there any particular reason for English? Because I know you just said it was a time difference, but is there any particular reason why you're just using English here?
I mean, TFT. I mean, I personally play in English because I like reading the text. But yeah, there's no advantage to it.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure why
it's
TFT.
mostly just the preference.
There is actually, I guess, fun little note for the glitch category. Sometimes you can use the pause menu to do certain precise lineups with your mouse cursor, and for those, your language setting can affect those menus, and so you might have to learn different setups depending on what language you choose to run the game in.
Oh, really?
And so here we are. We just we got all that exposition. We got the key, and we headed through the crypt and into the estate of the Urn Witch. So this is where the first of our bosses lives, the Urn Witch. We're introducing a new mechanic here where we get to shoot arrows through these braziers, through fire, in order to light things. A little fire puzzle. Again, very traditional, Zelda-like.
Yeah, we skipped a whole torch there. Casually, I mean, I never knew this. I thought you had to shoot your arrow through the fire, but you can actually sort of dip your bow into the fire and then turn around and shoot, which lets you get some nice angles on some of these puzzles where we can skip a bunch of torches.
Yep. Here's our first major skip in the run. We do this little roll onto the pot here, and then we go along these hedges in order to skip. There's Pothead in the top left. That is the name of that NPC. And we do it twice. We do it once to get that soul orb right there, which we'll use for an upgrade later on. And we'll do it one more time so you can get a really good look at it. We just roll up onto the edge of this pot and then roll onto the hedge. And one important thing to know about this, it's trickier than it looks. And if you fall into any of those bushes there, you actually can't get out. So you have to save and quit.
Yeah.
So it's a bit riskier than it appears. Going fast on that wall is definitely pretty scary.
And we do it just to
normally-
skip some cutscenes with Pothead. It saves like 20 seconds, I want to say.
Yeah, like 20 seconds, 25 maybe. Yeah, this arena is really tough because so this arena, unlike the one that we did right before Stedhone, who I guess we didn't touch on, but we'll maybe pass them again later. This arena, unlike that one, all the enemies are already in. They're already spawned in, so they're roaming, and so there's definitely a lot more improvisation in that arena than most of the other ones in the game. So that's another kind of pain point. There's a bit of RNG, but also there are some things you can do to make it go better for you. You can kind of walk to one side and only aggro the enemies on one side to make it a little better. And so here we are again. We're going to skip a whole bunch of those braziers, kind of snipe them off screen. So we dip the arrow in the brazier and then we shoot it to the side to snipe one of the off-screen braziers, and then we're gonna do a whole bunch of that, and that's for a few reasons. One, obviously it's faster to not light them all, but also actually certain ones of these spawn enemies when they're lit, And so, conveniently, we're also going to avoid spawning most of the more troublesome enemies by skipping a bunch of these.
I thoroughly enjoy what Chad is doing after you mentioned
Spamming pot friend.
yeah, and they're just spamming pot friend. It's great.
Yeah, it's
I had no
fantastic.
idea this was an emote, but it is wonderful.
It's a global emote too, so that's the better part of it.
Yeah, everyone gets to join in.
Yeah.
Always good. Yep. So here we're cronking some levers, opening some gates. And we're gonna head on into the manor, ceramic manor. We want to make sure we have 1,000 soul here. Quick little check there. Making sure we have 1,000. That'll let us get 2 strength upgrades. So we're gonna go into manor here. We're gonna take the door. And we're going to go ahead and get our first upgrades of the run. And those will allow us to do a lot of this combat much more cleanly, much faster.
Sniped.
Bonk.
Sniped.
Yeah, one thing, that kills a lot of runs when you're getting started. You often get to the end of this area on 1 HP. TFT did an amazing job getting through all of that without taking any damage, so it didn't matter. But you definitely can lose a run to that. Like, the fact that projectiles don't stop during those cutscenes means you can get hit during it and die, and then, that's a reset. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, you gotta be
Everything
careful.
freezes during cutscenes except for projectiles, which continue flying.
Yeah, any deaths you have mostly take you back to doors, so deaths are extremely punishing in this game.
But yeah, speaking of the soul routing, so we had exactly 1,003 soul. So killing enemies and picking up soul orbs give us soul. And obviously a lot of arenas we have to kill everything, but there's a lot of optional enemies too. And the soul route is tight enough that we have to kill some number of random enemies that like aren't mandatory. Mostly it tends to work out, but you do have to pay careful attention to your soul count, and we might have to kill some extra enemies later on.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, the better you get at the game, the cleaner your run is, the less optional stuff you're doing. The more you kind of get punished by your soul count and have to really start learning to pay attention to it. So here we're doing one of the main mechanics of this dungeon, the Ceramic Manor. We're doing these pot puzzles. So we're going around and breaking these like blue pots with the glowing like yellow going on. And those are little keys. And when you hit all of them, these doors open. And we're actually coming up on a really cool skip. We're going to skip this entire room. You're supposed to light like 5 different braziers here, but we're just going to use the mouse and shoot straight to the end.
Yeah. This game, when you're using controller, has auto aim, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. And right there, with auto aim, you can never get that shot with a controller. You need the mouse to point it super accurately.
Yeah.
So do you constantly play with keyboard mouse in this, or do you just use the mouse and keyboard only for certain tricks?
Yeah, typically just for certain tricks. Because, yeah, we like the controller, and the controller is like better because you have 360 degrees of movement. But then, yeah, we'll switch to mouse and keyboard for some tricks. In Glitched, the keyboard is a lot more prominent. You need it for more things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more trick setups and just little things, quality of life about using keyboard and mouse in Glitch. But you'll all get to see that later when Pudding does his run.
Yep, I was going to say that. So I do have a question about the game, or just the main character. How is the crow holding the sword? Because as far as I remember, now it's been a while since, I have a pet bird, but I haven't seen my pet bird in 6 years because of me living in apartments. But as far as I remember, they grab everything from their talons. So is the crow using the talon to attack?
I'm pretty sure they're using their wings as arms. Like, you see them when they're climbing the ladder, they do the same thing. We don't worry about it.
It's a really tricky
This is
little
Big Pot, by the way, which is a
Yeah.
really tricky boss fight, yeah. Took a damage. Oh no, it's getting away. Okay, cool.
Only 1 damage. You're happy with
Yeah.
that, honestly. That's a really tough fight. So a thing about those spinning pots is you can roll into them and it'll disable the hitbox for a little while, but it does re-enable. So you have to kind of get the timing for when to iframe again while you're DPSing there. And this room is the bane of speedrunners everywhere.
As we are demonstrating.
Auto aim is just making this so tough. So this room
imps
is
that are randomly running around, eating your shots, blocking your shots. It's dark, you can't see anything. We have to light all these
pitch black.
torches. It's ridiculous.
This room is an
You have to
absolute
make
nightmare.
this shot. That was a good shot. You just thread it right between those grunts to get to the ladder. If you hit one of the grunts, all three of them aggro to you, and you have to just fight everything, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm happy I was able to demonstrate every single pain point of Imploft right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you'll notice we're collecting these crow souls. So we have 2 now in the door. Once we get 4, we'll be able to open that door and go in. And so that's kind of the loop of the dungeons. So there's 3 of these. There's also there's areas after these little dungeons where you use the tools that you get from the door, which we'll talk about when we get there. And then the bosses of each area. And so yeah, very traditional adventure game structure. There we grab some more soul. We're gonna keep on gathering soul because we want to hit strength 4 by the time we get to a later area called Castle Lockstone, because it makes a lot of that stuff way faster. And so that's why we're kind of losing a lot of time to go out of our way and get this soul, and then we'll make it back up in combats later in the run. There is it's been theorized for a long time. Upper has recently finally been doing some work on a route, a low strength route. But it's tough. It's way harder.
Yeah, you basically get 1 less strength upgrade for the whole run, essentially, compared to this route. But it should save about a minute, but yeah, no one's completed a run with it just yet. Or I've completed runs, I haven't
No one's got PD
gotten
with
any
it, let's
PBs or
say.
anything, yeah.
Yeah, and that combat on the Lickitung, that was so good. TFT is doing a great job. We call those Lickitungs. I think Upper told me the official name for those enemies is Grimace Knights, but we call them Lickitung. Those are actually really tricky to fight because the tongue hitbox is like only in the direct front. You can't hit them from the side at all, and you have to hit them in the tongue.
Yeah. One of my roll slashes in that combat did the exact thing where I was slightly off to the right and it just didn't count it, and I had to go hit it again.
Yeah, missing deflects in that combat is always super brutal, which happens sometimes. Your deflect is just 2 degrees off to the left, and you don't get it.
Yeah, we did a fun thing at the start of this room where we kind of baited the little purple walking, like self-destructing pot to walk into the wall and break one of these puzzle pots for us. Which is just a fun little time save. I don't know, it's really cute. I like it. And then here we have one of the scariest rooms in the run. It has absolutely no enemies in it, but it has exactly 1 roll skip where you have to roll across this ledge here, and let's see if TFT gets it. Nicely done.
Nice.
That is way harder than it looks.
I don't know that it's way harder than it looks, but it's very easy to just mess
If
it
you
up.
try to
and then
go
you lose like
fast,
10
it's way-
seconds.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you try to go
This is my
fast,
wife's
it's
least
hard.
favorite room because of the number of times I've lost the run and then spent half an hour practicing that one roll repeatedly.
Yeah.
Because it is just hard to get sometimes.
Yeah, normally you're supposed to walk around all those shelves and kind of shoot it from the side and then shoot it from the side again. But yeah, you can just kind of roll in between there and skip most of that room. Here you'll see again us using some deflects to kill these mages. And then we're going to do another save and quit. You'll probably notice we do a fair number of save and quits just to save warp and save a little bit of time. We do time this game loadless RTA as well, which incentivizes the save and quits a little bit more, but even without that, a lot of these save and quits are way faster regardless.
All right, so we have our 4 crows, and we can now open up this door and see what's behind it. After first chatting with Pothead, once again.
Yeah, we don't skip
Yes,
all the
and then-
pothead cutscenes.
Chat will always enjoy seeing that, though. So I feel like behind this door is a new car.
Maybe.
You're close.
It could be, what is it, a goat?
Yeah, could be.
We got a treasure chest though, so it's gotta be something, right?
Yeah.
Something good.
That is a giant chest.
Oh, or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. It's not a chest.
It is not.
And this is one of most people's favorite songs in the game. The music here is awesome. And luckily, you get to hear it 3 times in this run. So here's the first Avarice. Little like scripted encounters that you have to do in order to get your upgrades. that kind of test your combat abilities. These are really, really fun to play in practice.
Oh yeah.
Just awesome combat, and that's the thing about this game. Like I mentioned before, that the controls are really tight and snappy, but they're really, really good. Like the combat is extremely satisfying to play. I definitely recommend this game to anyone who likes the kind of adventure game genre, the isometric adventure. Quite good. You'll see we're doing more of these deflects. A nice little roll there to iframe. Yeah, nice little roll there to iframe the slam, and then also roll slash to break the shield.
Yeah,
there it is again.
So far,
yeah, great job.
Really good.
Had to get important bird spins in there too.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that was Avarice 1, and we're gonna get our first spell here. So this is gonna be the Fireball. So rather than having to dip our arrows into braziers in order to shoot fireplaces, we just get fire. It has a few properties, so it takes a little bit longer to charge than the bow and arrow. It pierces enemies, so it's kind of nice if you can line enemies up, although there's only really one spot in the run that we use it for damage. And then, yeah, you get to kind of snipe some fireplaces you normally wouldn't be able to, which opens access to some new areas. Here we do a few dangerous-looking rolls to get through that area a bit faster.
They are also actually just dangerous.
Yeah. And we're going to head on over to area number 2. Now, if you've played this game before, you might be wondering, wait a minute, why aren't we going back to the Ceramic Manor? There's still a whole other area in there and a boss. And actually, the routing for this game is we do reverse boss order. So we're going to go around, we're going to collect all these upgrades, and then we're going to do those extra areas in the bosses. And that way we'll have extra upgrades when we do the bosses, as well as interestingly enough, the bosses actually have kind of the reversed order of health that you would expect. So the third in the sequence has the least health, and then the second, and then the first has the most. So you're even more incentivized to do reverse boss order.
Claps for leg day.
Instance.
I love the little claps, little bird claps.
Yeah.
Our joke is that a run isn't valid if you don't do bird claps and bird spins while waiting for leg day.
That was just so cute, though.
Exactly. You gotta get it in every single run.
Yeah, if you want a
Yes,
bird
yes.
clap at home, all you have to do is equip Fireball and spam the aim button.
Or just any spell that's not bow. But yeah.
So-
Yeah, Fireball looks the
so-
best, though.
When you said that at first, I didn't know you were talking about the game, and I was like, well, that'd be nice, but I don't think I should throw fireballs in my apartment. That just doesn't seem like a good idea.
All right, here we are. We're in the Overgrown Ruins. And this is one of those areas we got to keep a really close eye on our soul count and make sure we get enough. Because getting
you're
enough,
a bit low.
getting
By
enough,
the way, TFT.
Oh yeah, I'm very low. You're right.
getting enough for Strength 4 is it does require killing quite a few extra enemies as you go. Ideally, you see these little plants, we smack them and they shoot bombs at us. Ideally, we kind of as we move through the area, we use that to kill the enemies that are following us, and then we don't have to lose too much time to doing extra combat.
So you need 2 more grunts wherever you want to pick them up.
Oh yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
And so we use
Most
those
likely.
bombs to blow up those walls. Here's another one of those walls, but we're just going to walk around it because there's terrain there.
But yeah, this area, we have these bomb flowers which are blowing up walls. They also tend to blow up lots of these grunts, which is routed into the soul routing. But yeah, sometimes they refuse to walk near the walls, and you have to kill a few of them manually.
Nice, first try. That roll
That's-
is extremely tough.
The game definitely doesn't want you to do that roll. It tries its best to put hitboxes in the way so that you just roll past it.
Yeah, when
It
first
doesn't
routing
even
is
save all that much time either. It's like a 5-10 second save
It's
versus
some-
just walking around.
something like that. Yeah, it skips walking through Mother's Camp there. We'll go back there once we get the item that we need, but don't actually have to talk to any of the NPCs in there in order to do the thing we need, so we just skip right on through. And yeah, that roll is hard enough that we actually used to get, there is an upgrade that kind of increases the distance you get on your rolls a little bit. And we, for a little while there, like back toward the very beginning of the game, actually used to get 1 point in that to make that roll just like a little bit easier.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, me neither.
You're doing some more.
Yeah, for upgrades options, we have strength, dexterity, which increases your attack speed, haste, which increases your rolling speed and distance, I assume, and magic, which increases your magic damage. And we're basically just going to get nothing but strength. Every strength upgrade increases your damage by 20%. So we're already at like 40% bonus damage, and it's going to keep going up from there, which just saves way more time than upgrading anything else, really.
Yeah, there's just so many combats in this run that as much as we'd kind of like to just dump into haste and just have crazy fast rolls, there's just too much combat to not get any strength. This arena is so satisfying.
Yeah, this is one of most players' favorite arenas. You just use these bomb flowers to blow up all the enemies for you.
The nice part is that's the optimal strategy too, so you're not even going slow for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're killing all the waves as they spawn in, you're all good. So there we're getting the magical forest horn here. You might have noticed TFT did a few slashes there while picking that up. That's to skip the dialogue prompt that shows up when you pick up a new item. It's a small little time save, maybe a second. And we get some jams from the Forest Mother.
Great time to grab a sip of water, stretch a little bit.
Yeah, don't forget to hydrate.
And the song opens up the mushroom dungeon for us. That's where we're going to head next.
So I noticed when we were talking earlier that this is the current patch. Is the reason why you're using a current patch just simply because something got patched out, or is it because of extra glitches? Is it well, I shouldn't say glitches, but is it because of like extra strats?
There's interestingly enough, there's basically one major difference for the NMG run between 1.0 and current patch. There's only really one major difference, which is basically which side of an area we'll get to later that you get to skip, which I think save a similar amount of time. But I think the current patch skip is actually a little bit faster. But I think most people play on current patch just because it's just more comfy to, you install the game and you're on current patch. No one has to do any down patching, and it's an NMG category. I find that NMG categories often end up becoming more popular on current patch just because NMG runners tend to prefer playing the game like, a little bit less broken. And this game definitely can get broken. I'm so excited for Pudding's run.
Yeah, and for those that are just now tuning in, do not forget that after this is the glitched version of this run. So if you like what you see here, just stay tuned.
Almost like this, what you see here, except half an hour faster, maybe? Something like that. Here we see one of the worst enemies in the game. They're called spiders, although I'm not really sure. They don't actually look all that spider-like to me, but they like to dodge, roll away from your attacks, like that.
Thank you for demonstrating.
Yeah. Which can be really quite irritating. And those other enemies, the coward spiders, they like to burrow, as was also just demonstrated. And this dungeon, the Mushroom Dungeon, is filled with arenas with spiders in them, so we'll be seeing those plenty. Also, compared to the Ceramic Manor, where we were basically saving and quitting after every single one of these crows, in Mushroom Dungeon, it just so happens that the routing-wise, we just don't do any saving and quitting. So we're going to get all 4 of these crow arenas back-to-back with no healing optimally in between them, so a little bit scarier.
Yeah, we just did a couple of really quick skips that you might have missed. We rolled over top of one of the breakable walls there rather than breaking the wall, which saved some time in the other room. And then we also, for that key puzzle, you're supposed to break the wall in between the 2 braziers, but if your movement is just fast enough, you can light one, roll over, and light the other one before the time expires. So you get to skip a big part of that puzzle, which saves really quite a lot of time. And in that room, we got introduced to the hardest enemy in the entire video game, the Hammer Bros, as we refer to them. The little armored knights with the wooden shield. They are brutal. I think a lot of people's casual experience, the last arena in this place, which you'll see it when we get to it, it's a source of pain for many people. Oh, not going for the fun roll. There's a little corner cut roll there you can do that saves like maybe half a second. That's like way risky and not worth
We'll be going
doing.
for the fast strat here.
Oh yeah, this is a really cool
hopefully
strat.
do something really cool. Let's see if we can get it. Deflects one.
Oh,
No
barely
second
missed
deflect.
it. So close.
But yeah, I was trying to deflect both of those fireballs to both of those fire flowers. Missed the second one, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But those Hammer Bros, actually, they have a bunch of interesting tech, some of which has been discovered pretty recently. But so their shield has health, and you have to damage and break their shield first. But if you attack them from their right side, which is the side where their shield isn't, you can hit them and their shield at the same time and sort of get double damage. You can also sometimes just hit them and not their shield. And there's like a lot of interesting things at play there. When their shield breaks, they'll get staggered for a second. So sometimes you want to like purposely not break their shield for a moment so you get it at an opportune time, that sort of thing. There's like all sorts of interesting play to them.
Yeah, by the way, we're skipping a lot of this dialogue. That was the Frog King. You've probably heard a brief snippet of their tune, which I love a few times here. Here is the Frog King again.
I'm gonna waste a second here.
The dialogue, just get a little bit more dialogue. The dialogue in this game is great. It's very funny. But unfortunately reading it is slow, so we are skipping right through it. But if you play this game casually, it's actually quite well written. It's very, very good.
I just love how like relaxing the music is too.
Yeah, the music in this game is amazing. Just like start to finish, so good.
So some game designer thought it would be a good idea to put 3 Hammer Brothers in one arena.
Yeah, with all this water.
Next to a pit of water.
Yeah. If you fall in that water, bird cannot swim. You do drown, and you lose 1 HP. So. A decent enough job.
Losing 1 HP is probably better than some other things that could happen.
That is.
Oh yeah, there's some
enough.
lasers coming up that can be pretty rude if you're not careful.
I did see this question pop up in chat, and I feel like it's alluding to something, but it says, you're skipping through that dialogue pretty quickly. Did some super cool person make a tool for us to use safely without hurting our hands?
It's true. Yeah, we've recently on the community Discord, we've put together. I'm sorry, I can't remember who actually made the script. Maybe Vareem can chime in. But we have a script that allows you to just like turbo match through text as fast as possible, which is really quite nice. It just makes it a lot easier to match through text without hurting your hands.
Yeah, and players can choose whether they want to use it or not. And we do have on the leaderboards, we do have a variable that when you submit your run, you say whether or not you used it. So for people who prefer not to use it or not to look at runs that use it, you can do that. Or if you prefer to take care of your hands, then we have the script for you. And that was made by Musea 7, which was edited off of a script that I believe was originally made for the Witcher 3 community.
Oh, wow. Looks like we did not get a car on this door either.
Yeah,
It's a
unfortunately
shame.
not.
One thing I neglected to mention is when you go into each of these avarice chests, these mimics, the animation that the bird does is different every time, and it's so funny.
Yeah, it's really great.
I love it.
It's like the first time they're excited that the chest is opening. The second time he's cowering in fear that he's gonna get eaten. And then we'll see what happens with the third chest.
Won't even bother. You'll just look at the chest and just, nope, and then just walk around.
The strat for this arena is really sick. Just all these deflects, killing all these mages right on the first cycle. Anytime you miss a mage cycle and they get to teleport away, that's like a 4-second time loss. So it's really important to hit those deflects, and they're trickier than they look.
There's also a great victory music right here that you get at the end of each of the addresses.
Yeah, and here we're getting our next spell. So this is the bomb spell. So instead of having to rely on those pesky plants to blow up walls for us, we'll get to do it our own dang selves. And it requires 2 mana to shoot a bomb rather than the 1 that it costs to do the arrow or the fireball. Nice little roll skip there.
Also, I stopped paying attention to soul, but yeah, you may notice we have 901, or we're about to have 1001 soul, of which we need 1000 to get the next upgrade.
I looked to make sure.
So we are good, just barely. But yeah, that's how tight the soul routing is. From this point on, the soul routing is completely fine. Nothing can really go wrong from here, but yeah. This is the breakpoint you need to make.
It's really easy to lose track and forget. Basically, at the end of that last arena, you need to see 43 as your last 2 digits. And if not, then you need to go find some backup soul somewhere and kill some extra enemies.
And once again, instead of returning to the mushroom dungeon and finishing that and fighting the boss, we're just going on to the next area. Again, because
that guy.
Yeah, again because the boss's the health routing just works out really nicely. We get more upgrades faster, and also just because the third and final spell that we unlock is going to be the hook shot, which actually just saves a lot of time in all of the dungeons. So it really pays to get it as fast as possible. And there's fast travel points everywhere, so it's not like it's even costing us time to do it this way. It's really just there's no reason not to.
This game incentivizes reverse boss order in so many different ways. It's actually kind of ridiculous.
I keep forgetting it's a crow because every time I look at it, I think it's just someone wearing a hat with a black cape and a red sword.
We are a bird. This is a bird game. Which is one of the best genres, probably.
Bird games are great.
You're out the Stranded Sailor. Unfortunately, we're not going to stop inside the Stranded Sailor and talk to Jefferson, which is probably my favorite NPC.
Here we blow up this wall before triggering this cutscene by shooting our bomb from far away. It saves 1 entire text box.
Yeah, you get different. So you're supposed to get there's a normal dialogue you get there, and then there's different dialogue if you talk to Barb the Bard after you blow up the wall. If you blow it up before getting the little cutscene there, then you get that replacement dialogue. So it saves the tiniest amount of time.
There we saw the first puzzle that Castle Lockstone brings us, which are these switch puzzles where you have to hit 4 switches in order, which is we'll see all throughout this dungeon. We're going to use bow for the most part to beat them in unintended and very fast ways. Let's see if we're going to go for what we call the diagram strat right here.
No, not this
Looks
one.
like not.
It's too scary for me.
Yeah, so there's a way to kind of cut the corner and just take the top route here, but you have to be pretty quick with it. It's pretty scary because those falling platforms tend to ruin your day. It saves maybe a second, so totally fine to take the safety strat here. Here we have another one of the harder enemies in the game. We have what we call the halberds because they're I don't know, they have the little bird helmet and they use a spear, so. I don't know if they have an official name.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Now, is there a reason why when you grab the orb, so to say, you immediately jump far away?
You just there's a second where you have control after you interact with the crow souls, so you can roll, which saves a bit of time because it gets you start moving in the right direction.
You all were asking about the Albert official name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Chunky Dodger. That's what they use in
Is that the code?
Yes.
That's amazing.
What a name. What a name.
Yeah, so here we're actually lighting this this puzzle torch a little bit early. So we're gonna have to do all 4 of those later, but we only really have access to 1 right now. We're just stopping by here and doing it real quick because it's a little faster to do it now instead of later. This arena has really cool strats where we toss a couple bombs at this bottom right mage, and you'll see the second one we actually get as the mage disappears, but the mage hitbox is still there, so the explosion is able to hit it, and that saves us an entire mage cycle, which is really nice.
Yeah, the one and probably only arena where we'll use bombs. Or actually, that's not true. There's one more in this very temple.
Yeah, we use the bombs there as well to deal damage to the shield and to the enemy at the same time, which just saves a bunch of time. It's really good.
I really like the effect of what the game does when the bomb actually goes off, though, and like the entire screen turns black except for like where the radius is of the explosion.
Yeah, there's a lot of polish on this game. It's I don't know, it's really, really well done. Yeah, and we just did a little bit of a roll on top of those boxes there for some faster movement. And we have 3 seeds right now. We didn't really explain seed healing, did we?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
We haven't even shown it off yet either.
Yeah. So you can collect these life seeds. We have 3. You can see them in the bottom right. They're next to the soul counter when it pops up. And so you can plant them in these green pots that we've seen, like the one that we used for pothead skip. And a little fruit grows, and you can eat it and heal. And kind of like Dark Souls bonfires, like you can use it, and then it's gone forever until you die or reload the area. So
there's one of the pots right there, for example.
So you can't just like infinitely heal. And that's why a lot of our healing ends up being done with save and quits when we need it.
So we went through a couple of quick puzzles there with some nice arrow strats there, or diagram strats as we call them, because they were mostly made up or speculated on via like MS Paint diagrams on the Discord.
Yep.
Just like a bunch of arrows. What if we stood here and then go this way, this way, this way?
Impossible to decipher diagrams, I may add.
Yeah.
Like really just just a mess.
So I did have an actual question. Like, I know we've talked that going through certain games, going through certain characters, everything else along those lines. Does the main character have a name?
No, they're just the Foretold Crow, I believe, is the like official title. But they don't have a name.
I was gonna say the crow kind of looks like a Russell to me. I'm not quite sure why.
I feel like mostly the speedrunners have agreed upon the Crowtagonist as the name.
The Crowtagonist. I like that.
Yeah, Crowtagonist is pretty wonderful. I don't know who first said that, but it's amazing.
It's probably a Key Point special. Key Points is very good at naming all the enemies and giving them, like, he named Leg Day and Arm Day, a few of the other names we have in our community.
All right, so we've been kind of blitzing through this, but we're already here on the last little Crow Soul arena of Castle Lockstone. We get that quick bomb at the start so that we can do this deflect and kill the roller at the same time with one heavy, which is a really nice little time save.
Yeah, that strat's a really satisfying one to nail.
Being just outside the halberd's range there. Nice quick kill.
Now, in terms of individuals who are watching this, like, ooh, this would be a fun speedrun or anything like that, like, is this, like, in terms of, I guess, for the no major glitches category, we'll talk maybe later during the glitch category, is this a hard run to pick up, or is it one of those you just kind of grab it and go type runs?
You can go ahead.
I'd say it's pretty approachable for new runners. There's not like a ton of things that are going to brick wall you. There are a few bosses, like 2 that I can think of, that are like a bit tricky, especially when you're learning. But overall, it's not too bad, I would say.
Yeah,
I picked up this game just like 2 months ago, or 2 or 3 months now. I'm not totally sure, but I found it pretty approachable. Also, so have a look at what the crow's doing now. Yeah. They know what's up.
They're stretching. So the last 2, we didn't see a car. I'm going to say after this, we're going to see a motorcycle.
No, it's almost as good as a motorcycle, I promise.
Yeah.
I tried.
there was another new enemy that I think that's the only one we see in this run. There's actually a lot of content you don't get to see in the any percent run. Definitely recommend if you enjoy this run to check out 100%, or even if you're playing it casually. There's a bunch more content that we don't do because it's not required.
Yeah, these Avarices are mostly supposed to be like refights against enemies, but we're seeing a lot of enemies for the first time in Avarice because we haven't done half the dungeons yet. But we just saw an enemy with a boomerang on their head whose official name is actually Boomers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And these we call Smos. I think you know why. I didn't notice that Smos. I just noticed that it praises the sun when it dies. Alright, so here we are, we're getting our hook shot. This is our final spell. Now, each of the spells actually also has an upgrade that you can get by fighting a mini-boss, but doing those is slow, so we won't be doing them. But they do exist. You can get upgrades for each of these spells that do cool things. Talking about the approachability of the run earlier, there's a bunch of alternate strategies you can do to make the run a little easier, one of which is getting the upgrade for the hook shot. Which allows
we died. What?
Oh no.
Did your controller break?
Sorry. Yeah.
Nah, it's a little faster to die there to death warp to the door.
There was this silence, and I was like, wait, was that actually supposed to happen or not?
We gotta keep them guessing.
Yeah, it saves about 8 seconds versus walking. So 90% of the time when you save quit, it does the same thing as death warping. So we do a lot of save quitting, but the one exception is when you're leaving an Avarice, saving and quitting will take you back to the Avarice, exit, whereas dying brings you back to the door. So
I really enjoyed that. It just said in big bold letters, death.
Yeah, the death screen on this game is great. It can really rile you up if you're chain dying in your casual playthrough. But yeah, I wanted to mention safety strats while we go ahead and do all these sweet puzzles with the hookshot and light these torches. The hookshot upgrade allows you to do kind of like a heavy attack during the hookshot animation, which makes a lot of the combat a lot easier. So that's one little safety element. There's extra seeds all around, sprinkled throughout the run, that you can grab if you need extra healing along the way. You can take extra save and quits to heal. There's even a route that was made specifically for beginners that's available, where you get some health upgrades, because you can actually upgrade your max HP and max mana. We don't do it here because it's a little slow, but it is definitely something you can do while you're learning in order to make the game a little easier for you.
really cool strat here. Rather than doing this puzzle, we're just going to roll over this fence. There's a tiny gap. Most of this wall goes up to the ceiling, but right on that pillar, you could just roll right over. And we mentioned earlier that walls are optional. Yep. Sure are.
This room was actually a large part of the motivation for switching from a glitchless designation to no major glitches. Because it's actually really hard to not accidentally clip through these walls. They just don't exist, and auto-aim does what it wants, and sometimes you just go flying right through them. So, yeah, that was definitely a big motivator for switching to NMG, and I think the run is a lot cooler now because it's no major glitches rather than glitchless, because there's some more fun little skips like the pothead skip.
And for those that are just tuning in, do not forget, immediately after this, we will be doing a glitched run. So if you enjoy all this, just keep on watching because it's only going to get better.
So where do you think we should go next? I think the game's maybe telling us something here. I don't know.
Yeah, so we save and quit after lighting those torches because it's a little bit faster. But normally there's a whole cutscene that plays where the elevator rises out of the floor and whatever. But because we save and quit, the elevator's just there, so the camera just awkwardly lingers in the center there for
6
way
years.
too long. All right,
we're finally doing the sort of the second half of a dungeon, of Dungeon 3, and going up to the blessed. So that's Arm Day. Because named as such because they can jump 40 vertical feet apparently, as we just saw there. And if they jump at you like that, the run is blessed.
Yeah, fortunately, you can't actually get hit while you're on a ladder. So it's really terrifying the first few times that happens to you until you realize that they can't actually hit you, and then it's just funny.
Actually, there is one spot you can get hit, which is the imps and imp loft. They will hit you while you're finishing the climb animation.
Yeah, right at the top. They can grab you.
Other than that.
Yeah, so here we're at the camp of the Free Crows, and this is where we learn there's like a whole revolution thing going on. There's a lot of story that we're just not getting exposed to because we are mashing right through all that dialogue. But these are the Free Crows, and they're fed up with their boss, who we'll meet finally after we fight the boss of this area. We are definitely intended to have met them way earlier in the run, but we're going fast. And this is Watchtowers. I think this is my favorite music in the game, personally. Really great soundtrack. Again, just so good.
We just left my favorite music. I'm a fan of the Camp of Free Crows myself, but this whole area is just great.
And the snow effects there are really nice too.
Oh yeah, it's a very pretty area for sure. A very challenging area too. We have a couple of spooky arenas.
Yeah, TFT has made a lot of this combat look like effortless, but trust me, if you do decide to learn this run, this will take some doing. You will die quite a few times. It's pretty hard.
So here we have Laser Arena, named as such because there's this big laser that homes in on you the entire fight. We can use it to fight enemies for us, but you need to be careful because it can just like chain kill you through iframes. I have taken 3 damage instantly from one of these lasers. It doesn't happen often, but
yeah, this laser does not mess around. It can absolutely destroy a run. You have to be really careful with it. TFT did a good job there of making sure not to get zapped.
Yeah, and using it to pick off the hammer bro at the end.
Nice. This is one of the. This is actually a point where you can actually lose a lot of time if these boomers are off cycle, and you can't kill them simultaneously. Or worst case, the top boomer can actually stay on the top platform, and then it's really slow. So, got good thing there. And here's a little skip, yoink, and we skipped half the area.
It's very easy. That one you can even do with controller. A lot of people do use mouse because it's a little bit more accurate, but yeah, you just climb up on that wall and then you can shoot your hookshot over the gate into the anchor, I guess.
Yeah, it skips the whole left half of the area. So the on 1.0, you can't do that, but you can do the same thing earlier in the area to skip the right side instead, which is interesting. They like patched one, but then like broke another. But we'll take it because
slide animation.
Yeah, the ice.
The ice
is really tough to manage. This arena that's coming up that we call Ice Arena, we're very creative with our names for arenas, is it's really tough. Your instinct often is to use the hookshot a lot to kind of zip around and get to all the enemies faster, but usually the way that interacts with the momentum on the ice makes it absolutely awful. So instead, TFT is going to do a really cool strat where we spend most of this arena not on the ice at all, and we stay on this little upper area.
TFT also took a heal before this. I wasn't sure that they were going to.
Oh, no, there's no way.
But yeah, in a marathon, for sure.
In a run, you have to basically, after a certain point, do it like that with 2 HP. And you have to just pray that you can figure it out.
Yeah, not only is this arena really tough, but a death here, because we didn't open any of the shortcuts going back, which would cost some time, a death here costs like 2 minutes. It's awful. It's like one of the worst deaths you can take in the run.
By the way, every once in a while in some of these combats, pay attention to the ragdolls because they can be really funny. I've seen a few of the helmets of these grunts go absolutely flying across the screen. It's amazing. I love it.
So that's a relatively new strat where we keep those hammer bros near the exit, and you can actually start climbing this ladder during the cutscene, which is difficult to do. You have to get there before the cutscene starts. It saves a bit of time.
If you're a little bit off, you just miss it.
Yeah.
Yep, and here is Betty. So this is the first of our three major bosses here. This boss is quite difficult. Has a roll attack that is it's hard to dodge because your iframes in your roll are actually a lot earlier than you would expect. But we have a strat here where we just hug Betty real close and perfectly time these rolls, and just kind of kill Betty with absolutely no problem at all, skipping the roll phase entirely.
It looks like we're just chilling next to them, but we are timing roll slashes every single time they punch. And this phase where they are spamming punches, they only hurt under their fists, so you can just hug their chests. But looks easy. It's a lot more difficult than it looks.
Yeah, and back on the topic of projectiles still existing during cutscenes, the snowballs that fall from the sky there can hurt you, and if you're on 1 HP and one falls on you during that death, you got to do the fight over. You do not get credit, so you got to be real careful if you go in there with low HP.
My first speedrun of this game, when I was just like learning the route, I killed Betty twice and then died after killing Betty twice and had to fight Betty thus 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so here we are. We're finally going to go ahead and meet our boss. Notice that door didn't take us back to the Hall of Doors. It brought us to this little area, and yeah.
So that means we're getting the car. Oh,
sure.
No.
World's best lord.
World's best lord.
Coffee.
But yeah, this cutscene happens after you beat the first of the 3 bosses, so we probably should have seen this cutscene, ages ago, but we're getting it now.
My favorite detail is the spotlight he set up for himself, or they set up for themselves. That's actually gender neutral intentionally for this character.
Oh.
One of the game design decisions they made was gender neutral kind of characters so that there isn't like a male or female. It can just be the Crow and the Lord of Doors and things like that.
That's
I love
awesome,
those.
actually. I really like that.
I love those little forest spirits on Chandler's desk there. It's so cute.
Okay, so now that we're done with Dungeon 3, we're going back to Dungeon 2. Of note, so we're not supposed to have the hookshot in this area, and we'll see just how much time the hookshot saves as we're navigating through the Flooded Fortress, which is next here.
Yeah, and you really do want to stay tuned for the glitch run to see how the glitched run handles ruins in dungeon. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a treat.
Yeah, it certainly is.
So since you're kind of doing in a reverse boss order, like how was that discovered? That would be the faster way of beating this game.
That was kind of routed in before my time, and I am probably the person who's been here the longest of the 3 of us. So. But yeah, I think it really just came down to this first discovering that you could wait to do the bosses till later, and just noticing their HP values. And the hookshot, just clearly saves so much time. Once you know for sure that you can get the hookshot before doing any of them, I think it becomes pretty clear.
When I entered the community and just learned that reverse boss order was a thing, it made perfect sense to me. Just get the hookshot fast. It seems pretty sensible. It's not too crazy an idea, given how much time hookshot saves. Yeah, we have this long platforming segment, or platforming, I guess, just rolling through over very narrow bridges over water, where it's very easy to fall in and lose some time.
Yeah, when you have a run on good pace here, and your hands are getting a little sweaty, and you're on these tiny little platforms, you're trying to do that roll, which saves a little time and stuff like that. Yeah. It's definitely dicey.
You can roll over corners too, like we did in Ceramic Manor. We typically don't, but you could be rolling on the far side of these pillars. Here we're going to do a door skip, so rather than hitting the switch, which is just right there, you can just roll on the wall a little bit precise and get it there.
I feel like was that intentionally put there, or was that something that the devs forgot that you could just kind of walk around the door?
It's actually a little harder than it looked because you have to roll up onto the little bricks on the side there, and normally if you just roll straight at them, you'll actually like just roll right past. So you kind of have to stop your momentum like kind of halfway through the roll, and I don't know, if you do it on the side that TFT still does it like a maniac, then if you overshoot the edge there, you'll end up in the water and lose HP. And this segment is one of the more stressful sections for health in the run, so it's pretty spooky.
Big skip there. We just hookshot this enemy and skipped like a big chunk of this dungeon. Hookshot paying dividends here. And then coming up, we have another skip that was called Mage Hookant. So previously, you had to do a trick to get through this area called Mage Hook, where you needed one of these mages that are just like randomly teleport around to appear on the far side of a platform that you could then hookshot over to, which was all RNG and really terrible. But now instead we have Mage Hookant, which doesn't involve mages and is thus much more consistent. I think optimally it is like slightly slower than first try Mage Hook, but no one does Mage Hook because it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, having an RNG trick at this point, this deep in the run, was pretty brutal. So discovering that you could do a precise arrow here, was really nice.
You can just hit that switch and spawn the platforms and be on our merry way. So we've skipped a big chunks of Flooded Fortress and now just have this one arena to do. And this is sort of like an auto scroller. The enemies in this arena just spawn on timers, so you can always just do it as fast as is possible by being quick, I guess. Yeah,
so the end of that first wave is just when that mage spawned right there. As long as you kill everything as that mage spawns in, you're good. And then the second wave works the same way, where everything just spawns in very slowly. It's one big, slow wave, and the mage is the final enemy in it.
Yep, so perfectly done. This is the final enemy, and just kill them on spawn, and we're good.
Yeah, so that arena is a little bit of an auto-scroller once you get good at the combat. It definitely can be tough before you get good at the combat, though. So
that's tough even if you do know the combat.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're bringing in mages from outside the arena that are following you into, and it can get a little hectic. But
yeah, here we go. We're going to fight the Frog King. This has really cool tech for phase 1, where we're going to get to skip most of it. So in this first phase, you have to break...
This is King of the Swamp, Guardian of the Flooded Fortress, Lord of his domain, Ruler of all he surveys, Champion of the people, Keeper of the Five Oaths, First of his name, Second of his other name, he was without middle initial or mercy, Destroyer of all those who would question his rightful rule or look at him askance, Eater of the vanquished, Devourer of the indolent, Guzzler of the non-committal, Bestower of wrathful obprobrium, and Font of most wondrous beneficence, all glory to him and his mace. Holy basher of toads, not frogs, but really, what are toads anyways? Like worse frogs, right? Uglier too. Smartest creature in all the land, really clever like that Einstein guy, but more handsome and okay, hit the word count.
Yeah, that is the title card. Full title.
Yep.
I had to. I have it on a delay too, so I'm watching it live, then I'm watching it over here, and I was like, okay, I know this is happening, so I'm gonna wait to the last little bit, like the last 2 or 3 words before I'm able to like, okay, I know it's done.
Yeah, and so you want to notice you can kind of like King Dodongo, this boss. You can shoot a bomb into the mouth as does that tilting of the platform there to get a little bit of more free DPS time. The thing we were doing at the start is for that first phase, the armor break phase, is if you just bait the Frog King and go just like slightly over the tile, you can kind of hit the Frog King's back while they're still in midair instead of waiting for the entire pogo cycle. So normally they'll kind of pogo around on the base and hit a whole bunch of different tiles and then stop, and then you can hit their back. But you can hit that hitbox while they're still in midair at the start of it, and it skips that whole phase and is very nice. You can actually get 2 hits on the armor break there in one go and skip a cycle that TFT unfortunately missed there, but it's not a huge time loss. Ooh.
Nope. Okay. Nope.
Get a little spicy?
Oh, that would throw off my entire rhythm.
It's like pretty subtle either way. The dexterity and haste upgrades are, it's like almost hard to notice them if you just do a single one. But yeah, we're typically used to having a pointed dexterity, so slightly faster attacks.
Yeah. So now we have 2 of the 3 giant souls that the Grey Crow requested us to get at the start. Nice little roll skip there, right at the start of Furnace. That actually saves a good chunk of time there.
Yeah.
It
Once
almost
again,
feels
not supposed
intended.
to have hookshot here.
The roll skip there almost feels intended. I don't think it is, but it feels that way because it's just so clear. A nice swag strat there, using arrows to send the bull cart forward so that we can hook to it instead of walking around to it. So yeah, the way these work, you smack the bullhead and it charges forward, and the more you hit it, the more it charges forward. But an interesting note is you can shoot your hookshot through the back of them. You can shoot spells through the back of them, but not the front. Like they don't have spell collision on the back. And so you may have seen in an earlier room, I think TFT might have done it, like a hookshot through the head to hit a pot to kind of save a little bit of time and cross the gap a little faster.
And we also light that oven before the that cutscene starts, which saves like an enormous amount of time. Actually, it saves like 10 seconds.
Doing
Cool,
bomb strats
relatively new skip here, where we just use a bomb to trigger that and then hookshot over to it rather than walking around.
I don't know if
I
I
found
should
that within
appreciate.
a week. Like a week ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Like you were saying.
Oh, you're fine. I don't know if I should like appreciate or be concerned that this game has a lot of pots.
I mean, it's the ceramic manor.
Yes, then this is the estate of the Urn Witch. What the Urn Witch is actually doing is like, I don't remember exactly what the story beat is, but it's something like trying to extend their lives by putting pots
Replacing
on
heads
things'
with pots,
heads.
yeah.
It's
Apparently things with pots on their heads can't be found by death. At least that's what the Urn Witch believes.
something like that. You'll notice maybe in the glitch run, if you pay attention to the art in the manor, a lot of the portraits hung on the wall have they all have pots for heads. Like
Yeah, it's just like
the whole
aristocrats
family.
with pots on their heads. It's great.
Maybe I
And-
should trade the hat I'm wearing for a pot.
Maybe.
Yeah, and here's more places where the hookshot just saves loads of time in this area. This area is cycle-based, so clean movement's really important here. And the cycles, you'll notice the pistons are actually timed to the music. They're kind of locked to the music. Like if you pause the game and the music is still playing, and then you unpause it, the pistons will actually like kind of speed up to catch up to the music.
Yeah.
They're really locked in, which is a really cool effect. It's really fun when you're playing it, but it means that you have to play really cleanly to get through here and get the earliest cycles.
Speaking
Now
of
I'm, like,
hookshot,
legit-
saving time some more again. Just skip
Yeah.
those whole platforms. Hookshot's so good. Hookshot's really fun too. It's very satisfying to use it.
I'm
if
like
we can get-
legit looking around my apartment right now, seeing if I have any pots for the next to it. For the glitch run, when I come back on camera, I'm just having a pot on my head instead of my hat.
Yeah, those shots TFT just did on the furnaces to the side of the conveyor belt are actually really tricky. That was really well done. The
the furnace
hitbox,
hitboxes make no sense.
the hitbox is so tiny. It's literally just like the tiny clump of coals that's in the center. You can't just like shoot anywhere at it and light them.
Wait, was that an intentional pause to like manipulate
Yes.
cycles?
Yep. It saves, or it loses you a little bit of time over optimal, but it makes sure you hit the cycle correctly. Thanks
Can't
to
you also
music
just
or-
wait there at the top of the thing too? That's what I've always done. But
Yeah, I always mistime it, so
Fair enough.
I actually found that easier.
All right, so that was the end of Furnace. We got through it real fast thanks to that hookshot, and now we're at Grandma, otherwise known as the Urn Witch.
Very Studio Ghibli animation too.
Yes.
oh yeah.
This pothead is, I believe, her grandson, and is locked away in that little, I don't even know what to call that.
Yeah, bat, something.
Okay,
Either way,
so
this is Grandma, where we really want to Like their movement and pattern is completely scripted, but we really want to kill them before they start bouncing around in their pot, which is tends to be really slow. So we're just trying to dish out damage as fast as possible. Get some deflects if we can. It looks like we're a little bit behind on damage because they didn't do that, basically. The supernova explosion. So this is the phase we don't like to see.
Yeah, the fastest kill here kills Grandma like right as she jumps up to go into the pot, but it's really difficult to get. You have to get good deflects and like perfect DPS cycles on each of those little phases.
Yeah.
So I noticed when in the last boss you did it too, that you were almost frame perfect as soon as the battle started. Are you able to time how long those animations are? Is it just like an audio cue, or just sheer coincidence that you know exactly when to start attacking?
I personally mash through the cutscenes.
Oh,
There's a little bit of lead in, and that with mashing makes it pretty consistent.
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, you know roughly when they're gonna end, and you know what attack you want to do, so you just start mashing the button.
All right, so we've now collected all 3 giant souls, and it's time to take another visit to the Grey Crow. In your casual playthrough, you can actually go visit Grey Crow between each of the giant souls, and they'll kind of talk to you a little bit more and kind of lead you where to go if you get lost, because some players definitely forget that intro cutscene, so I think that's why that's the case. But yeah, we're gonna deliver all these souls to Grey Crow. We're gonna get a little bit of exposition, which we're largely gonna just mash through, but there will be some pretty pictures for you to look at and try and figure out what's going on. I wish you all the best of luck.
Yeah, I kind of want to come up with like a like script of that like makes no sense of like what the lore actually is, that like matches up with the pictures but is completely wrong.
I remember one community member, Quacksilver, did a blind speedrun of this. So had never played the game before and did a blind run of the game and tried to come up with what the story was. And got some stuff pretty right and a lot of stuff very, very wrong. And it was extremely amusing. It's a pretty great clip.
So I was just going to go off, and when I watched that animation just a second ago, I was like, oh, so the whole plot is basically based around the 1980s Rush album, Hold Your Fire. And like, if you're not a diehard Rush fan, I do not believe you will get that reference.
Hi, Death.
Yeah, so here a cute little thing the game does. We get that death text on screen that you normally get when you die, because we found Death. It was actually Death's door. Death was in the door all along with a fanny pack.
It's true.
Oh. Gotta love a fanny pack.
It's fashionable and useful.
Yeah, so we're coming up with probably the hardest boss for speedrunners, at least. This is going to be the Grey Crow. The Grey Crow has a ton of RNG. Every time you hit them, a feather is going to fly off and start homing towards you. And they can just spawn directly on top of you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. You just take damage. They have some RNG to their attack pattern as well. It's just a crazy fight. Also, they deal damage by like trampling you. So unlike every other boss in the game, like their hurt box is just their body, so you can't just like go right up to them and wail as much as you'd like to. You want to be dishing out as much damage as you can. But yeah, it's a tough fight.
Yeah, the key thing to making this fight really fast is the boss does normally get iframes when they get hit, but you can get these double deflects where you deflect these projectiles into the boss and manage to get multiple of them to hit at the same time. And it deals a whole ton of damage, so we're trying to bait the projectiles here so we get nice big deflects as the Grey Crow lands like that. But yeah, this fight is very challenging. A death here wouldn't be surprising. Lots of runs die here. It's brutal, but it's also really fun. It's probably, I think, for me, the most fun fight in the game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Even with the RNG. Ooh. Yeah, and these crow heads are just brutal.
So this attack that he just did where he summons an egg, there's only a 20% chance of it happening, and only if he's below 60% HP, which is a shame because it's a great attack. He just stands perfectly still for a really long time. But it's RNG and it's pretty rare.
Nice, good kill.
Nice.
And unlike most of the other bosses... Oh, go ahead.
I just want to point out that the Grey Crow sounds like a 90s, like late 80s, early 90s rock band, and then like their fan base would be called Crowheads, and it just all fit together super nicely.
That did remind me that I love the music for that fight as well. The music's there.
Great,
it's really good. But yeah, the unlike most of the other bosses, you can actually instantly save and quit after Grey Crow, which saves a little bit of time. It's not a whole ton, but it's a bit. And here we get an interaction with the shopkeeper during this cutscene, which is fairly tight timing to get that upgrade right now, instead of having to wait. And then we got to do another save and quit, which is going to bring us right to that door up top. And then we'll do one last fast door, which is a trick that's been done so many times in the run that we completely forgot to mention it. But you can get into the doors a little bit faster if you kind of get inside of the white area of the inside of the door while it's like still open and it hasn't like fully shut on you yet, and then interact. It skips a little walking animation. But yeah, here we go. We're gonna do the gauntlet. So a little series of challenges here from the Lord of Doors, and then we'll fight the last Lord, and that'll be the run. So let's wish TFT luck on the final boss gauntlet here.
Lord of Doors summons these doors to attack you by using finger guns. I'd like to point out.
Are you gonna go for this first instant door, TFT?
I probably should, shouldn't I? Just to show it off. We'll see how it goes. I might not get it, but we'll try it.
Yeah, so there's a trick here called instant door. If you're inside of the load zone of the doors that Lord of Doors summons as they spawn in, you'll actually instantly get sent to the next area.
That's a new one.
Which saves quite a bit of time because it's a pretty long animation. Don't go too crazy over it. The first one,
I give it a few attempts. It's a tough
roll. The first one is extra weird because one, the loading zone is actually up on that little ledge rather than down at ground level, so you have to do that kind of precise roll up onto the ledge there.
Also, these fights are super interesting. So you see Lord of Doors is doing their slamming punches, and you can dodge roll out of them, or you can just use a heavy attack, which shunts you forward just enough to dodge their punches, which is what we want to do optimally. It's pretty scary though, and it looks really cool. So if you watch this this fight, we're just going to be heavying back and forth, just barely dodging their fists, doing one roll right at the end there, and that's just perfect.
Yeah, and again, we get an instant door. So right as Lord of Doors snaps, we get in there. I don't know, do we want to show off what it looks like if you don't get the instant door? Is that worth doing?
We kind of already did. In the
true, on the first one.
Animation.
Yeah.
That's what it does in the rest of the run if you miss one of these. But I might as well, or not miss one. I might end up missing this anyway, so we'll see.
I hope not.
Same.
This one's the most important because if you don't damage them quickly enough, they'll do a roll, which is uninterruptible and takes 4 seconds or so. You really want to make sure you get in the 15 hits before they start rolling. Which
if you couldn't tell from the art and the moveset, those little phases there, those in-between phases are based off of the 3 Giant Soul bosses that we fought earlier. So one of them is a little Grandma area, one's a little Frog King, and one is a little bit Betty. And so the roll attack, we get to skip again, and so we never have to see it. And thank goodness for that, because it's really annoying.
Yeah, now we have the last Lord, where the Lord of Doors is going to have all the attacks of all the bosses that we fought throughout the game. It's kind of a fun fight. This is another very interesting fight that I like a lot.
Yep, and more awesome music.
Oh yeah.
They charging up. Oh, they turn to the dark side.
Yeah,
Nice.
so all the
Let's see how this
souls we were gathering throughout the run that we were spending on upgrades and stuff, we're going into that soul vault, and the last Lord just sucked them all up to power up. So see here we have to do these DPS cycles while dodging those exploding pots that are flying in from the side. And then this is a jump phase. It's kind of like the Frog King. We got to dodge those projectiles to get some damage in. You can bait those backhands out by going behind Lord of Doors, and that lets you get a bit more damage in before this laser phase. You can cancel the laser phase early, just like we did with Guardian at the start of the run by timing a roll to iframe the laser. And then hopefully we're about to hit time.
In time.
Nice.
Nice. Great run.
GG.
Super happy to get a deathless run. That is actually really hard.
Bill, great job, though.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, GG's.
Could show up a lot of the really neat small tech that we have in NMG. And feel like the run went really well. Happy that we got to show it off.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. From someone who's never played it before, it looks like a really, really fun run. For anyone that was in chat that maybe was wanting to know more about the NMG, or let's just say they're going to want to also know something after they watch the glitched run, because do not forget, after this is a glitched version that we're going to showcase. Where would people go for more information about Death's Door in terms of the speedrun?
I'm pretty sure everything is findable from the SRC page. We have a Death's Door Discord that is actually quite active, where people are coming up with new strats and just suggesting things, and I believe that's on the SRC page, as well as a lot of resources like the save manager and debug mod and that sort of thing, which are really helpful for learning as well.
Yeah, and if anyone wanted to follow any one of y'all, where would they go?
For me, I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/it's_TFT.
You can find me at twitch.tv/uppercasserole.
Yep, and I'm just Vareem on Twitch as well.
All right, well, thank you all very, very much. Any final shout-outs? Anything you'd like to say real fast?
I wish I could shout out every single person in the Death's Door community, because honestly, everyone is really fantastic, but I would be here for like 5 minutes. So it's a blanket. Community is awesome. You should check out everyone in it, because they're great people and super fun to hang out with. Other than that, I think that's all I really got. How about Upper Vareem?
I'd like to do a quick shout out to the category extensions board and also the category extensions spreadsheet and all the meme runs. Stuff like Kronk percent and all soul orbs and stuff are very amusing runs. So there's more than just run it. You can do any percent, you can do hundo, but we also have some nice spicy meme categories as well if you're interested in those.
Yeah, for me, just to echo what TFT said, yeah, the community is just so great. As a relatively new member to the community, just a couple months since I started running this game, the community is super welcoming, super helpful. It's really great.
Well, thank you all very much for showcasing the no major glitches version of Death's Door. But do not forget, chat, we're not done with Death's Door. We're going to take a small break to get everything set up for the glitched version of Death's Door. This is a great time to get up, stretch, hydrate, use the restroom, everything else along those lines. Yeah, during the time when we get everything set up for the next run, we'll take a small break and get ready for the glitched version of Death's Door. Stay tuned.